This is not going to be an easy conversation. The company has made some decisions which will have a direct impact on your employment.
Okay.
I don't want to beat around the bush, so I'm just going to come out with it. We're going to have to let you go.
What? Why? I mean, just like that, I'm fired?
I'm sorry, but to be honest, you're a terrible employee.
What? I resent that.
Anthony, you were caught making international calls from the office phone. You called in sick 8 times this month. And you smell like alcohol.
He did sound a little bit like he had too much to drink, huh?
I know, he had that kind of
slur.
Yeah, that slow way of talking that made him seem a little bit drunk.
Well, that's definitely something you don't want to do, is show up to work with alcohol in your breath.
Exactly. But you know what? There's a lot of great language in this dialogue, so why don't we take a look at it now in Language Takeaway.
Language Takeaway.
All right, well, I want to look at 3 words here. Now, the first one, Anthony said that Isabel was preoccupied.
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 Okay, so if somebody is preoccupied,
they're not focused.
maybe they're a little bit worried.
Yeah, they're thinking of something else.
Okay.
Why don't we take a listen to a few examples of how this word is used?
Example 1.
James is really preoccupied. I think he's having some family problems.
Example 2.
Oh, were you talking to me, honey? I'm sorry. I'm just really preoccupied with work.
All right, so very clear now, preoccupied. Let's move on to our next word, direct impact.
Direct impact.
A direct impact.
All right, so again, Isabel told Anthony that the decision will have a direct impact on his career.
Mm-hmm.
It will have a noticeable or impact or effect on his career.
Okay, so a direct impact. And what about our last word?
Well, Anthony said, I resent that.
Resent.
Resent.
Okay, now this is spelled exactly like resent, like with an S, right?
That's right. R-E-S-E-N-T.
But you pronounce it like a Z.
Mm-hmm. Resent.
Resent that. So what does it mean if you say, I resent that?
It means I find that insulting.
I find that to be not true.
Yes.
Okay, I resent.
All right, Marco, well, how do you use this word?
Well, if somebody tells you you're lazy,
Okay.
right?
Then you might say, hey, I resent that.
Right. I do a lot of work. I'm not
Yeah.
lazy.
Yeah, so it's always something that you use after someone insults you.
Right. Or says something that you find to be not true.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Resent that. And I guess with this, it's time for us to listen to this dialogue again, and then we'll come back and look at some great phrases.
Hi, Isabel. You wanted to see me?
Yes, Anthony. Come on in and have a seat.
Is everything okay? You seem a bit preoccupied.
Well, Anthony, this is not going to be an easy conversation. The company has made some decisions which will have a direct impact on your employment.
Okay.
I don't want to beat around the bush, so I'm just going to come out with it. We're going to have to let you go.
What? Why? I mean, just like that, I'm fired?
I'm sorry, but to be honest, you're a terrible employee.
What? I resent that.
Anthony, you were caught making international calls from the office phone. You called in sick 8 times this month. And you smell like alcohol.
Yeah, well, there's some wonderful language in here that you can use when you have to have a difficult conversation with somebody.
Right. So let's take a look at these phrases in Fluency Builder.
Fluency Builder.
We have 3 phrases here, and the first one is to beat around the bush.
Okay. Beat around the bush.
Beat around the bush.
Okay. So this is an idiomatic phrase.
Mm-hmm.
So before we explain it, let's listen to somebody beating around the bush.
Okay, the one thing that I want to tell you, it's so important that I don't like. Sometimes when, all right, here's the deal. This is it. Specifically, it's not this, it's not that, it's not you, it's not me. It's everyone. It's everything. Do you understand what I'm saying?
So as you can tell, the person has something to say, but
They're taking a long time to say it.
right, you're kind of looking for the right or maybe more polite words to say something.
Exactly.
So that is to beat around the bush.
Now, the opposite of to beat around the bush is to come out with it.
Okay, come out with it.
Come out with it.
So maybe you're talking to your friend and he's beating around the bush, so you can just say, hey, come out with it.
Tell me.
Tell me, just
Yep.
what is it,
Exactly.
right? Come out with it. Be direct.
When Isabel finally came out with it, she told Anthony that we're going to have to let you go.
Let you go.
Let you go.
So this is actually a nicer way of saying you're fired,
Yeah, it's a little bit more polite, isn't it?
right? We're going to have to let you go, or,
Oh, I was let go from my company.
right. So a synonym for to be fired.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's listen to Anthony getting fired one more time, and then we'll come back and talk a little bit more about this difficult situation.
Hi, Isabel. You wanted to see me?
Yes, Anthony. Come on in and have a seat.
Is everything okay? You seem a bit preoccupied.
Well, Anthony, this is not going to be an easy conversation. The company has made some decisions which will have a direct impact on your employment.
Okay.
I don't want to beat around the bush, so I'm just going to come out with it. We're going to have to let you go.
What? Why? I mean, just like that. I'm fired?
I'm sorry, but to be honest, you're a terrible employee.
What? I resent that.
Anthony, you were caught making international calls from the office phone. You called in sick 8 times this month. And you smell like alcohol.
So Erica, have you ever fired anyone?
I have fired a lot of people.
Oh, wow. You are a mean person.
Oh, yeah. Well, there are some people who really do silly things like come to work drunk. And if you do that,
You're obviously going to get fired.
yeah.
But in the United States, actually, there is an interesting way of firing people. They get a pink slip.
Oh, yeah. But I guess this is just a little bit different than getting fired. You get a pink slip when you get laid off.
Right.
Yep.
I mean, if you come to work drunk, you get fired immediately, right?
Yes.
But when you get a pink slip, so it's basically a little pink paper that tells you that you have been laid off.
Yep. And so when you hear somebody say, we sent out, so when you hear somebody talk about pink slips, like our company sent out 500 pink slips, that means that 500 people got laid off.
Or I got a pink slip today.
That means you got laid off.
Right.
Yep.
That's actually interesting because I don't know any other country that actually has this
A special color.
special color for firing people.
Yeah. How about in your country? Is there a special color for pink slips?
If you guys have any stories as well, maybe about being fired, or maybe you've had to fire somebody.
Come to our website and tell us about it.
Right, englishpod.com. There you can leave your questions and comments. Erica and I are always there trying to answer your questions, and also our great community is there that will also help you.
Okay, guys. Well, we're out of time for today, but until next time.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Hello, English learners. Welcome back to English Pod. My name is Marco.
And I'm Erica.
And today we're bringing you another great lesson about sports, part of our sports series.
That's right. And in this lesson, we are talking about maybe the world's most favorite sports.
Right, one of the most popular sports in the world, soccer, or also known as football in other countries.
Yes.
Okay, so before we get started with this great lesson, let's take a look at some of the words we'll find in the dialogue in Vocabulary Preview.
Vocabulary preview.
We're going to look at 3 words here. The first word is wingman.
Wingman.
A wingman.
Now, wingman isn't really related to soccer in any way,
Okay.
but it's a way of referring to somebody as your right hand,
So your helper.
your helper, your number one guy,
Okay.
right?
So a wingman is someone who helps you a lot.
Uh-huh. Exactly.
Okay. Our next word, tied.
Tied.
They are tied.
They are tied. Now, this is an interesting word because tie can be a noun, verb, and an adjective, right?
Exactly. So in this case, they are tied. It's an adjective meaning.
They have the same score.
Okay. And a tie is
Is a game that has ended with no winner or loser. Both of them had the same score.
exactly. And so obviously the verb to tie is to reach the same score as your other team.
Exactly.
All right. Well, our third word can also be used as a noun and a verb, and it is foul.
Fouled.
Fouled
Okay, so to foul somebody.
is to do something to them that is not allowed in the sport.
Okay. And so when you do this, you have committed a foul.
Exactly.
Okay, so you use it in the same way, to foul or a foul. Interesting.
Well, we're going to hear these three words in context now. So why don't we listen to our soccer dialogue?
Welcome back, soccer fans. My name is Rick Fields, and as always, I am joined by my commentating wingman, Bob Copeland.
And we're in the brink of soccer history today as Ecuador and Brazil are tied 1-1 as we begin the second half of the 2022 World Cup.
The ref calls the players for the kickoff, and here we go. Ecuador quickly passes the ball to the midfield, but it's out of bounds.
That'll be a throw-in for Brazil. Adriano has the ball and makes a long pass to Robinho. And the ref has called him offside.
No question about it, he was offside by a mile. We have a goal kick for Ecuador. Edison Mendez heads it to Valencia. He shoots. Deflected by the defender, and we have a corner kick.
Delgado takes the corner. We have a foul. Oh no, Dida, the goalkeeper, has fouled the Ecuadorian player. He gets a yellow card, and that will be a penalty kick.
This is the perfect opportunity for Ecuador to get ahead in this match and become world champions. He gets ready for the kick, he shoots, and he...
Okay, so Ecuador tied with Brazil in the 2022 World Cup.
Wow, Marco, I'm really happy to see that you are able to see so far into the future.
Well, I called it. So in
Yeah.
2022, if we do win the World Cup, you know who said it first.
All right. Do you have money on that?
Yes. All right. So apart from this, we saw some really great vocabulary in this lesson. So let's take a look at it now in Language Takeaway.
Language takeaway.
All right, we've got a lot of soccer words for you, but they're all important. So let's take a look at the first one. Kickoff.
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 So a kickoff.
This is how you start a soccer game, right?
Right. So it's the very beginning. The referee blows the whistle and you kick the ball to another player. That's the kickoff.
Okay. So our next phrase, out of bounds.
Out of bounds.
Out of bounds.
Okay. Out of bounds. This is a great word.
So in soccer, when the ball goes out of bounds, it goes outside the white lines, right?
Outside of the playing field.
Okay.
And you can use it in all other sports. You can use it in basketball. You can use it in tennis.
Or football or anything.
Right. So any part that is not for playing.
Out of bounds.
What's our next word?
Throw in.
A throw in.
A throw in.
Okay. So a throw in. The ball goes out of bounds. How do you put it back into play?
Obviously, a throw in.
Okay, so you throw in the ball. That's the only time where a soccer player will actually grab the ball with his hands.
All right, now another soccer term we have here, offside.
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 Okay, so this is a little bit difficult to explain, but just imagine you're on the soccer field and you are trying to score a goal. Now you have some defenders, right?
Right.
Those are the people who are trying to take the ball away. And you pass the ball to somebody who is behind the defenders.
Oh, and that person is offside.
Exactly. So you must be at all times in the same position as the defenders or in front of them, but you can't be all the way in the back.
Okay, so is this a noun or a verb or an adjective?
So this is an adjective. He is offside. That's his condition.
Okay, great. Excellent explanation, Marco. Thank you.
All right.
Now we're going to look at 3 different phrases for 3 types of kicks in soccer.
Okay. So let's take a look at this. The first one is goal kick.
A goal kick.
Okay, goal kick.
So who does the goal kick?
It's usually the goalie or the goalkeeper
All right.
who takes the goal kick.
Okay, so when the goalie kicks the ball. Now what about a corner kick?
Okay, so if the team is attacking and the ball goes out of bounds in the back area near the goal, then they get a corner kick. They got to kick the ball from the corner of the field.
This is a great chance to score a goal, isn't it?
Exactly, yes.
Okay, and our final kick, a penalty kick.
Penalty kick.
Penalty kick.
So if a player gets fouled while he is in the area near the goal,
Okay.
he gets a penalty kick. So basically it's just him. I think it's 13 or 15 steps away from the goalie, and he gets the opportunity to score or to kick the ball.
So there are no defenders or other players in the way.
Nobody.
Wow, another great chance to score a goal.
Right.
All right, well, these are all great soccer words, and I think we should hear them again in context. So let's listen, this time a little bit slower.
Welcome back, soccer fans. My name is Rick Fields, and, as always, I am joined by my commentating wingman, Bob Copeland.
And we're on the brink of soccer history today, as Ecuador and Brazil are tied 1-1 as we begin the second half of the 2022 World Cup.
The ref calls the players for the kickoff, and here we go. Ecuador quickly passes the ball to the midfield, but it's out of bounds.
That will be a throw-in for Brazil. Adriano has the ball and makes a long pass to Rubinho, and the ref has called him offside.
No question about it, he was offside by a mile. We have a goal kick for Ecuador. Edison Mendez heads it to Valencia. He shoots. Deflected by the defender, and we have a corner kick.
Delgado takes the corner, and we have a foul. Oh no. Dida, the goalkeeper, has fouled the Ecuadorian player. He gets a yellow card, and that will be a penalty kick.
This is the perfect opportunity for Ecuador to get ahead in this match and become world champions. He gets ready for the kick. He shoots, and he...
All right, so we heard these words that we were talking about in context, and now some really interesting phrases came up, and this would be a good time to take a look at them in Fluency Builder.
Fluency Builder.
Well, Marco, there are 3 great phrases in this dialogue that I want to look at. The first one, on the brink of.
We are on the brink of.
We're on the brink of soccer history.
Okay, so on the brink of, what exactly does that mean?
Well, why don't we hear some examples to help us understand the meaning?
Example 1. Look, we don't have any money. We're on the brink of going bankrupt. Example 2.
The 2 countries are on the brink of war.
Example 3. We're on the brink of an important discovery.
All right, so great examples. On the brink of, at a critical point.
Exactly. It means you're almost there, right?
Okay, yeah, very good. And what about this next phrase that I saw, and it was really interesting. No question about it.
No question about it.
No question about it.
No question about it.
All right, so this is a statement that doesn't really make much sense. But what am I saying when I say, oh, no question about it?
You're saying, I agree. There is no doubt. You're right.
You're right. Okay.
Well, let's give some examples. I could say, There's no question about it. Ecuador is a great soccer team.
There is no question about that. All right. So, or you can say, no question about it. Our company makes the best products on the market.
Okay. So, really useful phrase that you can use in sports or anywhere else.
Okay. And now let's take a look at our last phrase for Fluency Builder. And it's a really good one to exaggerate a little bit.
Okay.
By a mile.
By a mile.
By a mile.
So he was offside by a mile.
Right. So the commentator is saying that he was very offside.
That it was really obvious.
Right. Mm-hmm. So you can use that also in different contexts, maybe not in sports.
Okay. So maybe we can say our company is ahead of all the others by a mile.
Right. Or if you tell somebody to guess your age and they say, oh, I think you are 42.
Oh, you could say you're off by a mile.
Right.
So you're really, really wrong.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's a way of exaggerating a little bit.
Yes, and saying it's really obvious.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Well, 3 awesome phrases, and I think it will help us to hear them one more time. So let's listen to the dialogue.
Welcome back, soccer fans. My name is Rick Fields, and as always, I am joined by my commentating wingman, Bob Copeland.
And we're on the brink of soccer history today, as Ecuador and Brazil are tied 1-1 as we begin the second half of the 2022 World Cup.
The ref calls the players for the kickoff, and here we go. Ecuador quickly passes the ball to the midfield, but it's out of bounds.
That'll be a throw-in for Brazil. Adriano has the ball and makes a long pass to Robinho. And the ref has called him offside.
No question about it. He was offside by a mile. We have a goal kick for Ecuador. Edison Mendez heads it to Valencia. He shoots. Deflected by the defender, and we have a corner kick.
Delgado takes the corner. We have a foul. Oh no, Dida, the goalkeeper, has fouled the Ecuadorian player. He gets a yellow card, and that will be a penalty kick.
This is the perfect opportunity for Ecuador to get ahead in this match and become world champions. He gets ready for the kick, he shoots, and he...
Okay, well, as you all may know, soccer is a very popular sport, especially in Latin America.
That's right. And your favorite team, Ecuador, are they really this good in soccer? Are they really going to win the 2022 Cup?
Well, maybe not. Well, actually, Ecuador has improved with time, but usually it's the strong teams like Argentina and Brazil who dominate the region, right?
Right.
But yeah, hopefully we'll make it next time.
Okay, well, I have my money on Ecuador and
for 2022.
But yeah, not on Canada. There's no hope for us.
Well, Canada is doing really well now. They actually beat Mexico, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, actually, that sort of, yeah, I kind of remember that now. But I think there's no hope for us to beat Brazil or Argentina, one of these big countries.
We have the next World Cup coming up, so it's really exciting, and I don't know who's going to win.
All right, well, listeners, who do you think is going to win? Who is the best soccer team out there?
Right. There are really good soccer teams, although some countries aren't really known for their soccer, like Russia. You don't really hear too much soccer from Russia.
Really?
Or from China, is for that.
I wonder how popular it is in these countries.
So let us know. Come to our website, englishpod.com. Tell us how popular soccer is in your country, or what team you are a fan of. I know many people like the European Cups and they're fans of Barcelona or the Italian teams.
Well, come to the website. Marco and I are always around to answer your questions. And until next time, goodbye.
Bye. Hello, English learners. Welcome back to another lesson here with us at English Pod. My name is Marco.
And I'm Erica.
And today we are going to have a very casual, normal conversation.
That's right. We're going to listen in on some small talk between a taxi driver and the passenger.
Small talk. So that's basically
Small, short conversations you have with someone that you don't know very well.
Okay, so typical questions like how old are you, where you're from,
Yep.
etc.
That's right. And this can be really hard for English learners because they often don't know what the right thing to say or the right thing to talk about. So we're going to give you a lot of phrases in this lesson that you can use in small talk.
Okay, so we don't have anything to preview today, so let's listen to the dialogue for the first time and then we'll come back.
Where to, miss?
Hi, Crenshaw and Hawthorne at the Holiday Inn that is on that corner.
Sure thing. So, where are you flying in from?
From China.
Really? You don't look very Chinese to me, if you don't mind me saying so.
It's fine. I am actually from Mexico. I was in China on a business trip, visiting some local companies that manufacture bathroom products.
Wow, sounds interesting. Excuse me if I'm being a bit nosy, but how old are you?
Don't you know it's rude to ask a lady her age?
Don't get me wrong. It's just that you seem so young and already doing business overseas.
Well, thank you. In that case, I am 26 years old. And what about yourself?
I'm 40 years old and was born and raised here in the good old US of A. Although I have some Colombian heritage.
Really? That's great. Do you speak Spanish?
Yeah, of course.
Qué bien, entonces podemos hablar en español.
All right, so I don't think this guy spoke much Spanish, do you?
No, even though he has Colombian heritage, I think he doesn't speak much. But maybe he's just a little bit rusty.
Maybe, but what he does speak is English. And since this is English Pod, why don't we look at some of the phrases that they used for small talk in Fluency Builder?
Fluency Builder.
All right, so today on Fluency Builder, we're going to take a look at phrases that both the passenger and the taxi driver use to make small talk. So why don't we start with the first one?
All right, so the taxi driver tells the passenger that she doesn't look very Chinese, if you don't mind me saying so.
Right, so he said, you don't look very Chinese to me, if you don't mind me saying so.
If you don't mind me saying so.
So what does he mean by this last part of his sentence?
Well, this is a phrase that we use to soften a sort of a statement that might be a little bit rude.
She could be Chinese.
Yeah.
Right? So it may be a little bit rude to say that, but he kind of apologizes.
That's right.
Right? By saying, if you don't mind me saying so.
Okay, so for example, I could say, hey, Marco, you look a little tired today, if you don't mind me saying so.
Okay, so does it always go at the end?
You could use it at the beginning. If you don't mind me saying so, I just don't think this is a good idea.
Okay, very good. So you can use this phrase in the beginning or at the end of a sentence.
Right, and it makes your statement a little bit less rude.
If you don't mind me saying so. Now, again, he also apologizes a little bit when he says, excuse me if I am being a bit nosy, but...
Excuse me if I'm being a bit nosy, but...
Excuse me if I'm being a bit nosy, but...
Okay, so let's take a look at this. Nosy, what's this?
Okay, when somebody is nosy, it means they're very curious. They are asking too many questions.
Yeah, asking more questions than they should ask.
Right. So he apologizes and says, well, excuse me if I'm asking too many questions. And then he asks her another question.
He asks her how old she is.
Right. So again, it's a polite way of maybe asking a question that might be a little bit sensitive.
Yeah, or a little bit impolite.
Okay. So, of course, asking a woman her age maybe is a little bit impolite, right?
Yes, typically women don't like that too much. But our next phrase, we heard the taxi driver say, don't get me wrong.
Don't get me wrong.
Don't get me wrong.
Okay, so don't get me wrong. He says, well, don't misunderstand what I'm saying.
That's right. This phrase is used so commonly in English that I think it would help us to hear some examples.
Example 1.
Don't get me wrong. It's not that I think you stole my computer. It's just that you were the only one who could get into my room.
Example 2.
I do have a few problems with the plan, but don't get me wrong, I still think it's a good idea.
Example 3.
Don't get me wrong. I think John's a nice guy. He's just a bit disorganized.
All right, very good example. So don't get me wrong, right?
That's right.
And now for the final phrase on putting it together today.
Well, the passenger, the woman, says her age. She says, I'm 26 years old. And what about yourself?
What about yourself?
What about yourself?
All right, now, this sentence isn't very correct, actually, right?
Yeah, technically, it's not correct in grammar, but it is used so commonly every day by American English speakers that we thought we'd show it to you.
Okay, so you would say, I am 26 years old, and what about you?
That's right.
Okay, but commonly you will hear people say, what about yourself?
And if you use this, you'll sound really fluent and really native-like.
Okay, very good. So what about yourself?
So again, it's just like, what about you? So I could say, hey, Marco, I'm going away on holiday this weekend. And what about yourself?
Okay, what about yourself? So we've taken a look at these 4 phrases on putting it together. Why don't we listen to the dialogue for the second time? We're going to slow it down a little bit, and then we'll come back and take a look at some vocabulary words on language takeaway.
Language takeaway.
Well, we've got some interesting vocabulary words and phrases here in language takeaway. And the first one.
Well, after she gets in the taxi and tells him where she wants to go, he answers by saying, sure thing.
Sure thing.
Sure thing.
Sure thing.
So if I say, yeah, sure thing, what does that mean?
Well, let's listen to some examples to help us understand.
Example 1. Do you mind lending me $100?
Sure thing.
Example 2. Could you please send me the email by the end of the day?
Sure thing.
Example 3.
Do you mind lending me $100?
Sure thing.
Could you please send me the email by the end of the day?
Sure thing. Example 4. Can you get some milk on the way home?
Sure thing, I'm on my way now.
Okay, so sure thing, basically, yeah, no problem, or okay,
Or I'll do it.
I'll do it.
Yep.
It's fine.
Yep.
So it's a very common way. You will hear this a lot when somebody agrees or says, yes, no problem.
Yeah, and again, it will help you sound really native-like to use this phrase. Well, the next one, the taxi driver says, I was born and raised here.
I was born and raised here.
Born and raised.
Okay, so this is a way of saying I was born in this country and I haven't left this country.
That's right, so I'm from this country.
Okay, born and raised here in the good old US of A.
Good old US of A.
The good old US of A.
So this is a pretty interesting way of saying America.
Right. It's actually more of a phrase, right? The good old US of A.
Yep.
Okay, so it means the good United States of America.
Yeah, it's kind of a fond way or a friendly way of describing America.
All right. And we have one more word for language takeaway.
Well, the taxi driver was talking about his Colombian heritage.
Colombian heritage.
Heritage.
All right, so if I have Colombian heritage, what does that mean?
Your grandmother or, grandfather, great-grandmother, or someone in your family is from Colombia.
Okay, and what about the word heritage by itself?
Yeah, so your heritage is basically your culture, your...
Customs.
Yeah, your customs, your history.
Okay, so heritage. A country rich in heritage.
Lots of good old historical culture in that country.
Okay, very good. So now it's time for us to listen to the dialogue for the last time. Now we can understand all these phrases and these great words that we've just looked at. And then we'll come back and talk a little bit more.
Where to, miss?
Hi, Crenshaw and Hawthorne at the Holiday Inn that is on that corner.
Sure thing. So, where are you flying in from?
From China.
Really? You don't look very Chinese to me, if you don't mind me saying so.
It's fine. I am actually from Mexico. I was in China on a business trip, visiting some local companies that manufacture battling products.
Wow, sounds interesting. Excuse me if I'm being a bit nosy, but how old are you?
Don't you know it's rude to ask a lady her age?
Don't get me wrong. It's just that you seem so young and already doing business overseas.
Well, thank you. In that case, I am 26 years old. And what about yourself?
I am 40 years old and was born and raised here in the good old US of A, although I have some Colombian heritage.
Really? That's great. Do you speak some Spanish?
Yeah, of course.
¡Qué bien! Entonces podemos hablar en español.
So Marco, this taxi driver makes a bit of a mistake when he asks the woman how old she is.
Yes, yeah, exactly. There are a couple of questions that in some cultures are considered to be normal and okay,
Yep.
but in other cultures they're not really well accepted.
Okay, so in Anglo culture, for example, it's really impolite to ask a woman how old she is.
Right, women are a little bit more sensitive about their age. Others aren't so much, but it's usually better to just not ask.
Yep. And what else should we avoid talking about in small talk?
Well, for example, when you ask a person their occupation,
Yeah.
you can ask what they do for a living, but don't ask how much money they make.
That's right. Anglo people are really sensitive about talking about money. We hate talking about money.
Right, so don't ask somebody their salary or how much money they make. It's just not considered to be polite.
And another good one to be careful of is asking if someone is married or not.
Right, sometimes you are just being friendly and you
Yeah.
want to know if that person has family or
Yeah.
something. But you have to be careful when and where you ask this question.
Right, so if they've mentioned their family, or if they've talked about their kids or something else to do with their family, then it's okay.
Right, you can say, well, oh, how long have you been married?
Yeah.
But if a guy asks a girl, oh, are you married? It kind of sounds like maybe he's interested in her or that he's trying to come on to her and to be maybe more than friendly, right?
That's right.
Okay.
So, some great small talk tips and phrases here at English Pod. Now, if you have any questions about this lesson or any other lessons, be sure to visit our website at englishpod.com.
And if you also have any doubts about which questions you think are appropriate of asking somebody, yeah, come into the website and let us know.
So, thanks for downloading, you guys, and until next time, goodbye.
Hello, English learners. Welcome back to English Pod. My name is Marco.
And I'm Erica.
And today we're bringing you, again, the great series, I'm Sorry, I Love You, Part 6.
The newest installment in the English Pod soap opera.
Drama, romance,
Love, tragedy.
all of it here at English Pod and in our series. So today we have a really great dialogue.
I just can't believe what's happening here. But before we get into it, we need to preview one word.
That's right. So let's take a look at it in vocabulary preview.
Vocabulary preview.
Well, we're going to preview this word. Sleeping with.
Sleeping with.
Sleeping with someone.
Sleeping with him.
Yes.
So it seems pretty easy. I mean, sleeping with, it just sounds like you are in bed with somebody.
Yeah, but you are doing a little bit more than sleeping.
All right. So in English, this phrase actually means that you are involved with someone and have an intimate sexual relationship, right?
Yes, you are in a relationship with someone and you are having sex.
Exactly. So be careful how you use it because I know that sometimes you want to translate and just say, well, they are in the same bed together, but it's not that they're having sex.
Right, so most of the time in English, the phrase sleeping with means sex.
Right. Okay. Sleeping with. Be careful.
Okay, well, let's find out. Why are we talking about sleeping with?
Well, obviously somebody is sleeping with somebody, so let's listen to the dialogue and then we'll come back and talk about it.
This is ridiculous. I can't believe you've been sleeping with someone else. How could you do this? You know what? I'm out of here.
Wait! Doctor, how is this possible? I haven't cheated on my boyfriend.
I have something to confess. I'm sorry, Veronica. I lied.
Wait, what? What do you mean?
I lied. You aren't even pregnant. There's no bun in the oven. I was just so overwhelmed with jealousy that I couldn't help myself. Veronica, I love you.
What are you talking about?
Who are you?
It's me, Daniel. Don't you remember me from high school? I sat behind you in science class. I used to go to every football game and watch you in the cheerleading squad.
You are insane. We never even spoke. Why did you lie like that to my boyfriend?
Because, Veronica, it's not fair. I love you. I have since the first day we met. Everything was going fine until that jerk came into the picture and ruined everything. I went to med school and became a doctor for you. You always said how you wanted to marry a doctor. You will be mine now, one way or another.
I heard everything, you lying bastard! Get your hands off of her!
Scandal again.
Oh, this poor Veronica and Steven. I don't know how their relationship could get more complicated.
It's amazing. They're having an amazing adventure in their love life.
I'm sure glad my love life looks nothing like this.
All right, so we saw some really great words. So let's take a look at them in language takeaway.
Language takeaway.
The words we're looking at now are about feelings. And so let's take a look at the first one. Confess.
Okay, confess.
To confess.
To confess. So confess, what does that mean?
When you confess something, you tell a secret that you've been hiding.
Okay, so that's pretty easy. So you have a secret and you want to tell it to someone, so you are confessing.
Yeah, and it's usually something negative.
Negative. Okay.
So, Marco, I confess that I stole $5 from you.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, okay. No wonder my wallet is lighter.
Yeah.
All right. So confess. I shall not forgive you for this.
Oh, no.
All right. Let's take a look at our next word. Overwhelmed.
Overwhelmed.
I am overwhelmed.
So when I am overwhelmed, I am filled with emotion.
Okay, with emotion. It can be good emotions and bad emotions, right?
Yeah, but you feel too much. It's like you're going to explode.
Okay, I am overwhelmed with joy.
Yes, or I'm overwhelmed with work.
And I am overwhelmed with jealousy.
Like this guy.
Right? And that's our third word.
Jealousy.
Jealousy. So this is interesting because jealousy is the noun.
That's right. It's the feeling
of being jealous.
Which is the adjective.
Which is the adjective. So what does it mean when you are jealous?
It means that you see somebody and you want what they have.
Okay. You want what they have.
Yeah. So in this case, the doctor is jealous of Veronica's boyfriend because the doctor wants Veronica.
Okay, jealous. So Erica, are you a jealous wife?
I don't know, maybe a little bit.
A little bit.
But I've never gone to the extent of telling someone that they're pregnant.
All right, jealousy. Okay, and let's take a look at our next two words, which are actually kind of insults, right?
Yeah, they're not very kind words at all.
Okay, but you got to learn them anyways.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take a look at this one. Jerk.
Jerk.
He's a jerk.
J-E-R-K. Jerk.
Jerk. So, what does it mean if someone is a jerk?
A stupid and mean person.
It's plain as simple as that.
Yeah.
Stupid and mean. So, can a woman be a jerk?
It's mostly male, but now it's becoming more common to use with women as well.
Okay, so I can say he is a jerk or she is a jerk.
Yeah, but it is more common for men.
Okay. And now let's take a look at our last word. You lying bastard.
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 Wow, this is pretty strong as well.
Yeah, you got to be careful about this one. This
Okay.
one is almost a swear word.
Almost.
Yeah.
It's like on the line.
Yeah.
So what does it mean if you call someone a bastard?
Well, literally, it means your mother and father were not married when you were born.
When you were born, exactly. So it is a pretty big insult.
Yes.
A little bit, I guess,
But it doesn't really mean that your mother and father
Right.
weren't married.
Right,
It
but
just it means that you are a jerk.
You're a jerk. You're a really big jerk.
You're a mean person, a really mean person.
So jerk isn't as strong as a bastard.
Yes,
right?
bastard is stronger.
Okay, so you got to be careful when you throw that word in there or how you would use it. And again, it's for men, right? Not for women.
Yeah, you can't use this word with women.
Oh, okay.
There's another one out there, but that will have to wait for another English pod.
Well, apparently all of these words are just for men. What did we do wrong?
Marco, I can't begin to tell you.
Okay, so let's listen to our dialogue again, and then we'll come back and look at some great phrases.
This is ridiculous. I can't believe you've been sleeping with someone else. How could you do this? You know what? I'm out of here.
Wait! Doctor, how is this possible? I haven't cheated on my boyfriend.
I have something to confess. I'm sorry, Veronica. I lied.
Wait, what? What do you mean?
I lied. You aren't even pregnant. There's no bun in the oven. I was just so overwhelmed with jealousy that I couldn't help myself. Veronica, I love you.
What are you talking about? Who are you?
It's me, Daniel. Don't you remember me from high school? I sat behind you in science class. I used to go to every football game and watch you in the cheerleading squad.
You are insane. We never even spoke. Why did you lie like that to my boyfriend?
Because, Veronica, it's not fair. I love you. I have since the first day we met. Everything was going fine until that jerk came into the picture and ruined everything. I went to med school and became a doctor for you. You always said how you wanted to marry a doctor. You will be mine now, one way or another.
I heard everything, you lying bastard! Get your hands off of her!
All right, so great stuff. Jerk, bastards, all that good words going around.
But we've also got some amazing phrases. So why don't we take a look at those now in Fluency Builder.
Fluency Builder.
All right, so in Fluency Builder today, we have 3 great phrases. Let's take a look at the first one. Bun in the oven.
A bun in the oven.
A bun in the oven.
Okay, this is obviously an idiomatic phrase, right?
Well, it could be literal as well, right?
Like you could actually have a piece of bread in your oven.
Right. Bun is a piece of bread in the oven. But in this context, we're not using it.
No. It means you're pregnant.
You're pregnant. So the baby is the bun.
Yeah, and the oven is your stomach.
Right. So you say she has a bun in the oven.
Yes, she's pregnant.
She's pregnant. Okay. It could be difficult to understand if you don't really have the explanation, right?
Yes.
You would say, what? She has bread?
What?
In the oven?
Yeah. A bun in the oven.
Okay. Now let's take a look at the second one. Couldn't help myself.
I couldn't help myself.
I couldn't help myself.
So when you can't help yourself, you can't control yourself.
Right. You did something but you couldn't control it.
You couldn't stop it.
You couldn't stop it. Okay, so let's listen to some examples of how you would use I couldn't help myself, because it's a phrase that you can use in many different ways, right?
That's right. Let's listen.
Example 1.
I just couldn't help myself. When I saw your car, I just had to buy it.
Example 2. I'm sorry, I couldn't help myself. I just started laughing. Example 3.
That cake was so good. I couldn't help myself. I ate it all.
Right, perfect. Couldn't help myself. Easy.
Now, the doctor, he couldn't help himself from lying to Veronica because he was angry that her boyfriend, Steven, came into the picture.
Came into the picture.
To come into the picture.
Okay, so what does it mean when somebody comes into the picture?
Well, basically, you appear in somebody's life. You come into somebody's life.
So imagine that your life is a picture, and somebody all of a sudden comes into it. So
They come into the picture. They come into your life.
come into your life.
Yes.
So he's angry that Steven appeared into Veronica's life, and they're in love and all that stuff.
Yeah. All right. Well, these are some great phrases, and why don't we listen to them again in context? So let's listen to the dialogue.
This is ridiculous. I can't believe you've been sleeping with someone else. How could you do this? You know what? I'm out of here.
Wait! Doctor, how is this possible? I haven't cheated on my boyfriend.
I have something to confess. I'm sorry, Veronica. I lied.
Wait, what? What do you mean?
I lied. You aren't even pregnant. There's no bun in the oven. I was just so overwhelmed with jealousy that I couldn't help myself. Veronica, I love you.
What are you talking about? Who are you?
It's me, Daniel. Don't you remember me from high school? I sat behind you in science class. I used to go to every football game and watch you in the cheerleading squad.
You are insane. We never even spoke. Why did you lie like that to my boyfriend?
Because, Veronica, it's not fair. I love you. I have since the first day we met. Everything was going fine until that jerk came into the picture and ruined everything. I went to med school and became a doctor for you. You always said how you wanted to marry a doctor. You will be mine now, one way or another.
I heard everything, you lying bastard! Get your hands off of her!
Okay, so Veronica's not pregnant. That was a close one.
Yeah. Phew.
Actually, they're not married. So this is a very controversial topic, right?
Yep.
Being knocked up.
Yes. Nice phrase.
Nice phrase.
So there's a lot of interesting phrases and ways you can talk about pregnancy. So if you're knocked up, you're pregnant.
Right. So you could hear that in movies. It's not really, I would say, a proper way of saying.
No, it's not that polite because it gives you the idea that it was a mistake.
Right. So you would say she got knocked up.
Yes. Another common phrase is preggers.
Preggers.
Yeah.
I heard this is more Australian, right?
She's preggers, so she's pregnant.
So it's actually a pretty interesting topic. I know that, for example, in Latin America, if a girl that's maybe in her early 20s gets pregnant accidentally by her boyfriend, usually the families expect them to get married.
Really?
Yeah, so it's kind of like, should they get married? Should they not?
So there's a lot of pressure.
A lot of pressure. But it's different in other countries, right?
Yeah. So I don't know, for you guys, what's it like in your country where you live? Is there pressure on the guy and the girl to get married? I mean, should Steven and Veronica get married in this situation?
Or what about just living together?
Yeah.
Or as they say, living in sin, right?
Living in sin.
Living together, living in sin.
Yeah.
So is it okay to just live together with your girlfriend, or should you get married before? This is a controversial topic, so we'll have a lot of different opinions, but it should be interesting.
Yes, so visit our website and tell us what you think, englishpod.com.
All right, guys, we'll see you there. Hello, English learners. Welcome back to English Pod. My name is Marco.
And I'm Erica.
And today we have a very special lesson because we're going to be focusing a little bit more on grammar.
That's right. We're going to look today at the difference between past simple and past progressive, or sometimes called past continuous.
Exactly. So we are going to take a look at these two structures, which are a little bit confusing at times, and we're going to be practicing today. But before we get started, why don't we take a look at vocabulary preview?
Vocabulary preview.
Well, this dialogue is all about telling a story in the past, and we're going to hear two words in the dialogue that we need to understand the meaning of. So the first one ages.
Ages.
I haven't seen you in ages.
Okay, so if I tell you I haven't seen you in ages.
Basically, you haven't seen me in a really long time.
Okay, so it's a way of exaggerating a little bit.
Yes. And this word ages we can use in many different ways, like, I've been studying English for ages.
Or for example, I can say, I haven't been to the dentist in ages.
Oh, well, guess you better go, huh?
Right, so ages, a very long time.
Yes. Now another phrase, to run into somebody.
So to run into somebody.
I ran into Matt.
Okay, so if you ran into Matt the other day.
You met him unexpectedly.
Okay, so you didn't plan to meet, you didn't have a date.
Right.
You just casually on the street met.
Exactly.
Okay, so I ran into your friend the other day.
Okay, so 2 good words. We're going to hear both of these in the dialogue. So why don't we get started with dialogue first time?
Mike, what's going on, man? Long time no see.
Hey, Pat. Yeah, I haven't seen you in ages. How's it going?
Things are going great. It's funny running into you like this. Small world, huh? You know, just last week I ran into Matt as well.
Yeah? How's he doing?
He's doing well. We went out for a couple of beers and the funniest thing happened.
Oh, yeah?
Well, we were talking and catching up on what we've been doing. Talking about work and family, when all of a sudden, Matt saw a mouse run under the chair and he completely lost it. He started freaking out and screaming.
Really?
Yeah, and the funniest thing was, then he jumped onto his chair and started shrieking like a girl. You should have been there. Everyone was staring and laughing. It was hilarious.
All right, very good. So a funny story, and as we saw, a lot of stuff in the past, right?
That's right, and we're going to look at that in a moment. But first, we've got lots of exciting language to describe when somebody gets really emotional.
Okay, so why don't we start now with language takeaway?
Language takeaway.
We have 4 words here. Now, in the dialogue, the guy in the story lost it.
So he saw a mouse and he completely lost it.
To lose it.
Okay, so when you lose it. What are you losing?
You're losing control of yourself and your emotion.
Okay, so you lose your temper maybe.
Yep.
So when I lose it, do I just get angry?
Angry or upset or even sad. But it's usually a negative feeling.
Okay, so it's not a good thing to lose it.
No. So for example, when I showed my boss the sales figures, he completely lost it.
Okay, very good. So that's what lose it means. And now our second word is very similar but has a little bit of a difference.
That's right. He started freaking out.
Okay, so to freak out.
To freak out.
Now, freak out is very similar to lose it, right?
Yeah, but why don't we hear an example now of somebody freaking out?
It's just, no, okay? Forget it, all right? Just forget it. I don't even want to, I just want to forget it. I just want to forget it. I don't know. Okay, calm down. Woo, calm down. I gotta calm down. I'm so happy. I can't even express it. I'm like, have I even finished one sentence? I'm like, woo, give me a high five, baby.
All right, so we heard this person freaking out, and basically it could be losing control or losing your temper, but also in a positive way.
Right, so maybe you're really excited about something that's going to happen, so you're freaking out.
Okay, maybe you're very nervous or you're very excited.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and now moving on to our third word, stare.
To stare.
People started to stare.
Staring.
Okay. Now, when you stare at someone or at something,
you look at and focus at something for a really long time.
Okay, so you are looking at it.
Yeah.
Focusing on it.
Yeah, longer than usual.
All right. Maybe when we were small, our parents taught us that it's not nice to stare at other people.
Exactly.
All right, so to stare.
And our final word, when Matt saw the mouse, he started shrieking.
All right, so to shriek.
Shriek.
shriek. Very similar to that movie Shrek.
Oh, yeah, it sounds quite similar.
All right, but it's different. What does shriek mean?
Well, why don't we listen to an example?
Oh my God! Holy chingada!
Okay, so I think shrieking is to shout in a very high-pitched voice.
Exactly, that's to shriek. Okay, so we saw 4 really great words in language takeaway, and why don't we listen now to the dialogue for a second time, a little bit slower, and then we'll come back and look at the differences between simple past and past progressive.
Mike, what's going on, man? Long time no see.
Hey, Pat. Yeah, I haven't seen you in ages. How's it going?
Things are going great. It's funny running into you like this. Small world, eh? You know, just last week I ran into Matt as well.
Yeah? How's he doing?
He's doing well. We went out for a couple of beers and the funniest thing happened.
Oh, yeah?
Well, we were talking and catching up on what we've been doing, talking about work and family, when all of a sudden, Matt saw a mouse run under his chair and he completely lost it. He started freaking out and screaming.
Really?
Yeah, and the funniest thing was, then he jumped on his chair and started shrieking like a girl. You should have been there. Everyone was staring and laughing. It was hilarious.
Okay, so there was a lot of different uses of past tense here in this dialogue, wasn't there?
Yeah, since he was telling a story that happened, he used the past a lot.
Well, let's now, as promised, look at past simple and past progressive in Grammar Breakdown.
Grammar breakdown.
Okay, Marco, before we start our discussion, why don't we hear one example of past simple and one example of past progressive?
You know, just last week I ran into Matt as well. Well, we were talking and catching up on what we've been doing.
Okay, so we heard that just last week I ran into Matt. So we discussed what run into means.
Yep, to meet someone by surprise.
All right. And now this structure is the simple past, right?
Yep.
Now the second example that we heard was we were talking and catching up.
Okay, so let's look at the difference in meaning here. I ran into Matt. Happened in the past, right?
Right, simple past.
But one moment in the past.
So the action finished, concluded.
Started and finished all around the same time. So it's one simple moment.
Okay. Now the other example is in the past progressive. So the action was happening for a longer period of time.
Yeah. Okay, so let's attach some times to this. Maybe you ran into Matt at 8:04, okay? And so the action started at 8:04. But you were talking and catching up from 8:05 until 9:05.
Okay, so you were talking for an hour.
Right. So it's the past progressive you use when the action is happening for a longer period of time.
Okay, so to better understand this, let's have another example.
Matt saw a mouse run under his chair and he completely lost it. Everyone was staring and laughing.
So as we heard in the example, he saw a mouse run under his chair.
So a quick action that started and finished quickly.
Okay, he saw the mouse and it ran under the chair.
Yep.
Now, the second example we heard was everyone was staring and laughing.
So maybe this happened over 4 or 5 minutes.
Okay, so people were looking at him and laughing and talking about how he was screaming like a girl.
Yes.
Okay, so that's the main difference between the simple past and the past progressive, the amount of time that the action happened.
Yep. All right, well, now that we understand a little bit more about the past tense, why don't we hear it again in context by listening to the dialogue for a third time?
Mike, what's going on, man? Long time no see.
Hey, Pat. Yeah, I haven't seen you in ages. How's it going?
Things are going great. It's funny running into you like this. Small world, huh? You know, just last week I ran into Matt as well.
Yeah? How's he doing?
He's doing well. We went out for a couple of beers and the funniest thing happened.
Oh, yeah?
Well, we were talking and catching up on what we've been doing, talking about work and family, when all of a sudden, Matt saw a mouse run under the chair and he completely lost it. He started freaking out and screaming.
Really?
Yeah, and the funniest thing was, then he jumped onto his chair and started shrieking like a girl. You should have been there. Everyone was staring and laughing. It was hilarious.
Okay, perfect. So now that we understand the words and the grammar behind it, there are some interesting phrases here that you can use casually with your friends.
Yeah, there's actually a lot of great sort of meeting and greeting and saying hello language.
So for example, when they met up, since they were old friends, he said, "Hey, Pat."
Hey.
Okay, so this word "hey,"
It's kind of like hi.
it's hi, right?
Yeah.
Normally you would use it to get somebody's attention, right? Like,
Yeah.
"Hey, I'm over here." or
Hey,
something.
waiter.
Okay.
Yeah.
But in this case, like, "Hey, how's it going?" or "Hi."
Yeah, so it's a really friendly and informal way of saying hi.
Okay. And then he asked, "How's it going?"
How's it going?
So again, this is a way of saying, "How are you?"
Yeah, Marco, what's the correct answer to this greeting?
Well, for example, he said things are going great, right? You can say, "Yeah, things are great," or "I'm doing well,"
Yeah.
or
Even great.
Great, yeah.
So how's it going?
"Oh, it's great,"
Yeah.
right? Now, another one that we didn't see in the dialogue, but it's very popular, is when somebody asks, "Hey, what's up?"
Yeah, what's up? So again, what is the right way to answer this question?
All right. So when somebody says, "What's up?" you can say, "Well, not much." Or if maybe you have news or something that you want to share, you would say, "Well, I just got back from the doctor's office."
Yep.
Right? But you wouldn't say "fine, thank you," or you wouldn't say "very good," or any of these other common answers to "what's up."
That's
it can
right.
be a little bit tricky.
Yeah, so the rule is the normal thing to say when someone says, "Hey, what's up?" is nothing much.
Not much.
Yep.
All right. So interesting ways of greeting casually with people, right? You wouldn't use this with your boss maybe, or in an office setting.
Yeah, more useful with your friends.
Okay. So if you have any other questions or have any other informal greetings that you would like to share with us, come to EnglishPod.com.
Yeah, Marco and I are always around to answer your questions, and we look forward to hearing from you. So until next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Hello, English learners. Welcome back to English Pod. My name is Marco.
And I'm Erica.
And we're bringing you the final lesson of our job interview series.
That's right. And in this lesson, we're going to be focusing on two very, very common but sometimes difficult questions.
Okay, so we've talked about preparing for the job interview in part 1. Part 2, we talked about educational background and work experience. And in part 3, what are we going to be looking at?
We're going to be looking at two questions: why we should hire you, and your greatest weakness.
Okay, so these are the classic, common questions that you'll get at a job interview, right?
That's right. So why don't we just get started, and we'll take a listen to the dialogue and see how our interviewee handles these questions.
Very good. Now, I have a couple of final questions.
I hope they're not too hard.
Well, why should we hire you?
I think that I would be a perfect fit in this company. I have a unique combination of strong technical acumen with outstanding soft skills. You know, I excel at building strong, long-term consumer relationships. For example, when I headed the customer support department in my previous company, our team resolved about 70% of our customers' problems. I decided that we needed better information and technical preparation on our products. So after, I implemented a series of training sessions in coordination with our technical department. We were able to solve 90% of our customers' issues. Given the opportunity, I could bring this kind of success to this company.
Woo. Impressive. So, what would you consider to be your greatest weakness?
To be honest, I struggle with organization and time management. Punctuality has never been a strength of mine. I find it hard to organize my time effectively. I've actually addressed this weakness recently by attending a workshop on efficient time management. It helped me a lot by providing me with great insights on how to get organized and use my time efficiently. So I think I'm getting better now.
Great. Well, let me tell you that I am very pleased with this interview. We are shortlisting our candidates this week, and next week we will inform our shortlisted candidates of the day and time for a second interview with our CEO.
Great, thanks a lot. I hope to hear from you. Goodbye.
Well, our interviewee is doing very well, but I think he had a little bit too many beans or chili.
Oh my God. Like, this is probably the most embarrassing thing I can think of.
But he doesn't say anything, so I don't know. Maybe he should have said, "Oh, pardon me, excuse me," or something.
I don't know.
I don't know. It's a controversy.
Yeah. Okay, but what isn't a controversy is the language, because there's some great stuff in here.
All right. So let's take a look at the language in Language Takeaway.
Language takeaway.
All right, we've got some great phrases and words for you to use when you're talking about what sort of benefits and skills and experience and expertise you can bring to a company.
Okay. The first thing that he said, and it's a very interesting word, he said technical acumen.
Technical acumen.
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 This is a really hard word. What is acumen?
It's basically insight and understanding and the ability to make good and difficult decisions.
Okay, so he has a very strong technical acumen.
So a strong insight or understanding of technical issues.
Okay, or I can change it and maybe say, I have a very strong business acumen.
Exactly. These are the two most common ways that this word is used. Technical acumen, business acumen.
Okay, great. Now let's take a look at another word, which is very interesting because everybody knows it.
Yes.
Excel.
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 Now, Excel is, of course, the software that you use, right?
Yeah. But here it's a verb meaning to be really, really good at something.
Right. To be the best, maybe.
Yeah.
To excel at something.
Yes. So I excel at cooking.
All right. So excel, you are the best.
I mean, that's not really going to help me in a job interview, but the next word might.
Head.
Head.
Well, in the dialogue, we heard it as headed in the past, right?
Yeah, that's right. He headed the customer support department.
So I think this is a great word to use when you were saying I was the leader. Mm-hmm. I was the main person in charge.
Yeah, the manager.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a nice verb to use to show that you were leading something.
Okay. Okay, now for the next word. Struggle.
To struggle.
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 So what does struggle mean?
It means that you have difficulty doing something.
So it's hard for you.
Yeah.
For example, when I was in school, I struggled with math.
Okay, and now I struggle with Chinese.
Exactly. So to have a hard time.
Yeah. Why don't we hear a couple of examples of how this word is used?
Example 1. We're really struggling to reach our sales target. Example 2.
Yeah, to be honest, I do struggle with time management.
Example 3.
The teacher farted in class and I really had to struggle not to laugh.
Okay, so great examples. Let's move on to our next word. Punctuality.
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 Okay, so to be punctual.
It means to be on time, always.
Always. So punctuality would be the noun form.
Right, so the condition or the state of always being on time.
Right. So punctuality, to be punctual.
Yeah, and our interviewee struggles with punctuality.
Right, like me.
I guess you guys have something in common.
We do. Now, he has a problem with punctuality, but he said he has addressed this weakness.
Yes, to address.
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 Now, if you notice, it's spelled the same way as address.
That's right.
But you pronounce it differently.
So the verb address has the stress on the second syllable.
Okay, address.
Yes.
And that means to
Deal with
the problem, to acknowledge the problem.
and to try and solve it.
Okay. So different from your home address where you live.
Yeah, and there the stress is on the first syllable.
Address.
Right.
Perfect. Very good. Okay, so let's listen to this dialogue one more time, and then we'll come back and talk about these two questions: greatest weakness and why should we hire you?
Very good. Now, I have a couple of final questions.
I hope they're not too hard.
Well, why should we hire you?
I think that I would be a perfect fit in this company. I have a unique combination of strong technical acumen with outstanding soft skills. You know, I excel at building strong, long-term consumer relationships. For example, when I headed the customer support department in my previous company, our team resolved about 70% of our customers' problems. I decided that we needed better information and technical preparation on our products. So after, I implemented a series of training sessions in coordination with our technical department. We were able to solve 90% of our customers' issues. Given the opportunity, I could bring this kind of success to this company.
Impressive. So, what would you consider to be your greatest weakness?
To be honest, I struggle with organization and time management. Punctuality has never been a strength of mine. I find it hard to organize my time effectively. I've actually addressed this weakness recently by attending a workshop on efficient time management. It helped me a lot by providing me with great insights on how to get organized and use my time efficiently. So I think I'm getting better now.
Great. Well, let me tell you that I am very pleased with this interview. We are shortlisting our candidates this week, and next week we will inform our shortlisted candidates of the day and time for a second interview with our CEO.
Great, thanks a lot. I hope to hear from you. Goodbye.
All right, Marco. Well, this classic question, why should we hire you? I think you'll hear it in many, many different interviews. And how did he deal with it here?
Well, the first thing that he said is very, very important because they are asking you why. So your immediate reaction would be to answer with because or I think that. But there's a different way of approaching it, which is a little bit more professional. He said, I think that I would be a perfect fit in this company.
I think I would be a perfect fit in this company.
That's how he started his answer, and then he explained why.
So this sounds really strong, doesn't it?
Yeah, basically, it just makes you seem to be very confident and puts you like you are already part of the company.
So this is a great way to start off this question, but you got to follow this up with some information. So what kind of information should you be giving?
Well, like we talked about in your work experience, the same thing goes here. What do you have to offer to this company? What special skills or insights or experience can you bring that would help us?
Yeah, that nobody else can bring.
Exactly. So, again, you have to start talking about your strengths and your previous experience, but with examples, right?
Very, very specific examples. And whenever you can, throw in some numbers or some specific successes that you have had.
Exactly. And once you've talked about these things, you can close off this answer by saying, given the opportunity, I could bring this kind of success to this company.
Given the opportunity, I could bring this kind of success to this company.
So that is just like a magical sentence saying like, if you give me the chance, I will demonstrate how good I am and how I can help this company.
Yes, a really, really strong closing argument.
Yes. So that's the way you should more or less approach that question, right?
All right, but let's turn now to the classic question, your greatest weakness.
What is your greatest weakness? When you get this question, be sure to not say, my greatest weakness is I work too much.
My greatest weakness is I'm a workaholic.
Right? Or, what was it? Or I am a perfectionist.
Yeah, these, we can see right through these.
Right.
I mean, they're too obvious and they're too silly. I mean, everyone has a weakness, so don't try and turn it around into a strength. I just don't think that's a good idea.
Okay. So, yeah, be sure to stay away from these answers. But you can say anything. Like in this case, he has a problem with being on time.
Yep.
So be honest, say what one of your greatest weaknesses are, but the key to making this weakness look good is saying what you are doing to solve this weakness.
Exactly. So really be truthful. Tell the interviewer what you're not good at, because there's obviously something that you're not good at.
Exactly. So you can say, I am usually late, but I am getting more organized. I am doing the seminar. Let the interviewer know that you are trying to improve this weakness.
Exactly.
And be sure to also think about your strength, right?
Yeah, be prepared to answer the question, what is your greatest strength?
So, and again, when you're talking about your strengths, be sure it's something more specific than saying, oh, I'm very responsible.
Yeah. You want to be as specific as you can. And again, give those examples. Give those successes. Give those numbers.
Right, exactly. So think about your weaknesses. Think about your strengths. If you don't know them, ask people. To ask your colleagues or ask your friends, what do you think is my greatest strength? Maybe you're a funny person. That's a strength.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, remember, there are 3 parts to this interviewing series, and you can find them on our website at englishpod.com.
Right. Come to our website, englishpod.com. You can look at all of these 3 lessons, and I hope they are really helpful. And of course, if you have any questions or comments, or maybe you'd like a little bit more of this interview series, let us know.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for listening. Good luck in your interviews. And until next time, goodbye.
Bye. Hello, English learners. Welcome back. We are here at English Pod. I am joined with Erica.
And my partner in crime, Marco.
All right. So today we're going to be talking about a really great topic, one of my favorites. Beer. So beer is a very popular drink, especially in bars and when you go out.
Yes, it's very common with students, I think.
Yes. And it's also not very strong like a vodka or whiskey.
Yes.
Okay, so we are going to be at a bar today and we're going to be looking at some of this vocabulary that you would find.
Yes, I mean, you've got to know this beer vocabulary.
Okay, so let's listen to our dialogue for the first time and then we'll come back and look at these words.
Hey man, what do you have on tap?
Heineken and Budweiser. We have a 2-for-1 happy hour special.
Cool. Give me a pint of Heineken and half a pint of Bud.
Okay. Pint of Heineken, half pint of Bud for table 6. What about some appetizers?
Sure. Let's have some nachos and mozzarella sticks.
Okay, that'll be $80.
What?
Well, it's pretty expensive for 2 beers and some food.
Yes. Well, it happens sometimes you go to these very exclusive bars and they charge you like if it was gold.
I mean, that's crazy.
Well, let's take a look at some of these great words that we saw in Language Takeaway.
Language takeaway.
Our first word is on tap.
On tap.
On tap.
So he asked, what do you have on tap? Now, this is a strange sentence. What exactly does it mean?
Okay, well, he's asking about what beers the bar has.
But not in a bottle or not in a can, right?
Right. So, in a bar, there's often this machine, right, that will pour very fresh beer right directly into the glass.
Into the glass. Yeah, this is a very popular thing because, like you say, it's fresh beer.
Yeah, it tastes better. Yeah.
Okay, so what do you have on tap?
What do you have on tap?
All right, let's take a look at our second word. Happy hour.
Happy hour.
Happy hour.
Happy hour.
Now, this is very common and popular with bars.
Yes.
What is it when they have a happy hour?
Okay, a happy hour is a period of time where the drinks are very cheap.
Okay, so happy hour could be from 5 p.m. till 10 p.m., 50% off.
So if the drink is $4, then it is now $2 in happy hour.
Perfect. And this brings us to our third word, a special.
A special.
A special.
A special.
So this is a noun, and what does it mean when a restaurant or a bar has a special?
It's like they're having a sale.
A sale.
So things are cheaper.
So it could be, for example, a Monday night special.
Or, like in the dialogue, a happy hour special.
Okay. So it is a promotion.
Yes.
All right, very good. And now they ordered a pint of Heineken and half a pint of Budweiser. Pint.
This is a very, very special beer word. So a pint is the size of your glass.
Okay, so we understand how much a pint is. What would be the equivalent in liters?
A pint is 0.4 liters.
Okay, so almost half a liter is 1 pint.
Yes.
Okay. It is very common when you go into a bar, you can order a pint of beer.
Yes, exactly. In English, we don't say I'll have half a liter of beer.
Right. So let's take a look at our next word on language takeaway. Appetizers.
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 Okay, so what is an appetizer?
Well, it is food you eat before your dinner or before your lunch.
Okay, so it's usually maybe like a salad.
Or a soup or something small that you can eat right before your big meal.
Okay, so some common appetizers at a bar, and we saw them in our dialogue. Nachos and mozzarella sticks.
Nachos. Nachos.
Nachos.
Nachos.
So nachos are little chips, right?
Yeah, corn chips. And it has cheese and maybe some tomatoes and maybe some beans.
Okay, so those are nachos. They're very common in the United States.
Yes, yeah.
And what about mozzarella sticks?
Mozzarella sticks, a travesty on the world and humanity and everyone's arteries.
Well, mozzarella is a cheese, right? Mozzarella cheese. And this cheese is, what is it? How is it prepared?
You put it in some breadcrumbs and then you fry it in oil. You deep fry it.
And you don't like this?
No, this is terrible.
Why? They're so good.
Oh my God.
Because then you can dip it in a little sauce and it's delicious.
Marco, there are so many reasons why this is wrong.
All right, well, mozzarella sticks, a very popular bar food.
All right, well, why don't we listen to the dialogue again, and we'll be able to hear these words in context at a slower speed.
Hey man, what do you have on tap?
Heineken and Budweiser. We have a 2-for-1 happy hour special.
Cool. Give me a pint of Heineken and half a pint of Bud.
Okay. Pint of Heineken, half pint of Bud for table 6. What about some appetizers?
Sure. Let's have some nachos and mozzarella sticks.
Okay, that'll be $80.
What?
Okay, so we saw some really good vocabulary words there, and now let's take a look at putting it together.
Putting it together.
Well, in this lesson, we are going to look at one phrase that sometimes causes problems.
So let's listen to this phrase that we're talking about.
What about some appetizers? What about some appetizers?
Okay, so this phrase, what about?
Yeah, I often hear people use it to ask a question.
So a common mistake is asking, what about your weekend?
What about your new job?
Now, this is incorrect, right?
You cannot use the phrase what about to ask a question about information. So it cannot ask for information.
Okay, because in our dialogue, the bartender said, and what about some appetizers?
Right, because he is making a suggestion.
Right, so he's saying, well, why don't you have some food?
Yes, the phrase what about can be used to make a suggestion.
Okay, so I can say, what about going to the movies?
You know what? Let's hear a few more examples of this because I think it's really useful.
Example 1. What about these dirty clothes? You said you would wash them days ago.
Example 2.
What about going to the mall instead? I'm tired of going to the movies.
Example 3.
What about a pizza instead of noodles?
All right, so really good examples, and the same thing we can apply to how about.
Exactly. So again, how about cannot ask for information.
Okay.
So you can't say how about your boss.
Ah, all right,
Yep.
perfect. Okay, so let's listen to this dialogue one last time, and then we'll come back and talk a little bit more about bars and beers.
Hey man, what do you have on tap?
Heineken and Budweiser. We have a 2-for-1 happy hour special.
Cool. Give me a pint of Heineken and half a pint of Bud.
Okay. Pint of Heineken, half pint of Bud for table 6. What about some appetizers?
Sure. Let's have some nachos and mozzarella sticks.
Okay, that'll be $80.
What? What?
Well, Marco, I know you're a big fan of beer, and actually, I think everyone here at Praxis is a big beer drinker.
And this is the perfect opportunity to tell everyone about the world-renowned beer shake.
Oh my gosh. Okay, Marco.
All right, so everyone that listens to this recipe is a non-believer. They say that it is not possible for it to taste good.
Okay.
But here's the recipe. You take a liter of beer, or maybe half a liter.
So a pint?
A pint or a pint and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And you put it in the blender.
Okay.
All right. Now you take 2 eggs.
Uh-huh.
Okay, not cooked, not boiled, anything. You take 2 eggs and put them in the blender. It could be 1 or 2.
Okay.
And then you take about half a cup of sugar, put it in the blender.
What?
And you mix all that together and you get this really good, foamy, delicious beer shake.
So a beer milkshake.
Well, it has no milk.
Okay.
But it's actually really good. I've prepared it for some people. They're like, no, that's not possible. It can't taste good. And in the end, they're like, wow, this is actually pretty good.
So did you invent this recipe?
It's actually really common in Ecuador, in Peru. I've even seen it in Chile, usually with a dark beer.
Okay.
Right?
So like a Guinness or?
It could be a Guinness or, yeah, if it's that, a dark beer is a little bit sweeter,
Yep.
so you wouldn't add so much sugar. But if you have another beer like a lager or a stout, you could still do it, but just add a little bit more sugar because that beer is a little bit more bitter.
Okay. Well, I am not going to try this recipe, but maybe you guys are.
You should. Try it out and let me know how it works.
Yeah, you can tell us all about it on our website, englishpod.com.
Yeah, and we're definitely there to answer all your questions, and I'll be posting the recipe as well on the website.
All right. Well, we're out of time for today, but thanks for listening. And until next time,
Bye.
bye.
Hello, English learners. Welcome back. We are here at English Pod. My name is Marco.
And I'm Erica.
And today we're going to be bringing you a lesson about eggs.
That's right. And who knew there was so much to talk about when we're talking eggs?
Right. Well, we always have eggs for breakfast, and there are many ways of preparing them. So we're going to learn what the different ways are.
Yes, and we'll learn some of the language that goes along with eggs.
Okay. So we have 3 words that we want to take a look at before we listen to our dialogue. So let's look at these in vocabulary preview.
Vocabulary preview.
Our preview word for this lesson is picky.
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 So picky is an interesting adjective.
Okay, so if a person is picky, what does that mean?
They're very hard to please.
Okay. So if your boss is picky and you give him a report and maybe it has, I don't know, a couple of mistakes or something.
Yeah, he'll say, do it again. Change this, this, and this.
Okay.
So if you are picky, you want everything to be perfect.
Okay.
And if there's one small thing that's not, you won't be happy.
Okay. So picky.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting word. Now our next word, yolk.
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 Y-O-L-K.
Yolk.
So this word is actually not in the dialogue.
It's not in the dialogue, but it's important that
Yes.
you know, right?
Okay, so if you have an egg, The yellow part is called the yolk.
Okay. And what about the other part?
The white.
The white.
The white.
Or also called the egg white, right?
Yes, egg white.
Okay, so pretty simple. Yolk and egg white. Let's listen to our dialogue. We are going to be listening to a couple who are having breakfast.
Wow, you're up early today. What's for breakfast?
Well, I felt like baking, so I made some muffins.
Smells good. I'll make some coffee. Do you want me to make you some eggs?
Sure. I'll take mine sunny side up.
Phew. I don't know how you can eat your eggs like that. Ever since I was small, I've had eggs and soldiers.
You know, my dad had scrambled eggs every morning for 20 years. It drove my mom crazy.
You know what really drives me crazy? When I ask for soft-boiled eggs and they overcook them so they come out hard-boiled. How can you dip your toast into a hard-boiled egg?
You're so picky sometimes.
Here you go, honey. Fried eggs.
Damn it! I said sunny side up. How many times do I have to tell you?
Well, she is definitely very picky and has a very bad temper.
I know. I can't believe anyone would get so angry over their breakfast.
Yeah.
But I guess it is the most important meal of the day.
Exactly. So we heard a couple of different ways of describing how you prepare eggs. So let's take a look at that in Language Takeaway.
Language takeaway.
Okay, so our first preparation method, my favorite,
All right.
sunny side up.
Okay. Sunny side up.
Sunny side up.
Now, this is interesting. Sunny, like the sun, right?
Exactly.
So when you fry an egg, right, and the yolk looks like a little sun, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So why is it called sunny side up?
I think because of what you just said. It looks like the sun.
But you don't cook the yolk, right?
Okay, yeah, the yolk is still yellow. It's still a little bit liquid. It's a little bit soft.
Okay. Because the opposite would be a fried egg.
Yes.
And that's our second word.
Fried egg.
Fried egg.
So this, you put the egg in the pan and you cook it all the way through.
All the way through. So the yolk is not liquid anymore. It becomes hard. And,
yes.
Right?
Exactly.
Okay.
A fried egg.
Fried egg. All right. So now let's take a look at our next set of eggs.
All right.
Soft-boiled egg.
A soft-boiled egg.
Soft-boiled.
Soft-boiled.
Okay. So to boil, you put the egg
in water.
In boiling water.
Yes, and make it cook.
And make it cook. So how long would you usually put it in for to be soft-boiled?
3 minutes, 4 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you only cook part of the egg, right?
Right. The yolk, the yellow part, stays a little bit wet, a little bit liquid.
Okay. So again, the opposite would be
a hard-boiled egg.
Hard-boiled egg.
Hard-boiled.
So hard-boiled is when you cook the entire egg again.
Yes. So then it's hard like a ball.
The entire egg. So with this soft-boiled and hard-boiled eggs, this takes us to our next form, eggs and soldiers.
Eggs and soldiers.
Eggs and soldiers.
Eggs and soldiers.
Now this is really interesting. I didn't really know about this before. It kind of sounds like you're having eggs with a group of soldiers from the army.
Well, this is a very British way of eating eggs. So you have your soft-boiled egg in a cup, and you have a piece of toast. But the toast is cut into long pieces.
Okay.
And then you take those pieces and you dip them into the egg yolk. It's delicious.
It's good.
Yeah. Typical English way of eating eggs.
Okay, so eggs and soldiers. Interesting. And this takes us to our last form of egg preparation and probably the most popular.
Yes, scrambled eggs.
Scrambled eggs.
Scrambled eggs.
Take eggs, put them in a pan, and then you just move them all over the place.
Mix them all up.
Mix them all up.
So the yolk and the white are mixed together.
Mixed together. All right. So we've looked at a lot of egg preparation, and now we can listen to our dialogue for the second time, and then we'll come back and look at some phrases.
Wow, you're up early today. What's for breakfast?
Well, I felt like baking, so I made some muffins.
Smells good. I'll make some coffee. Do you want me to make you some eggs?
Sure. I'll take mine sunny side up.
Ew, I don't know how you can eat your eggs like that. Ever since I was small, I've had eggs and soldiers.
You know, my dad had scrambled eggs every morning for 20 years. It drove my mom crazy.
You know what really drives me crazy? When I ask for soft-boiled eggs, and they overcook them so they come out hard-boiled. How can you dip your toast into a hard-boiled egg?
You're so picky sometimes.
Here you go, honey. Fried eggs.
Damn it. I said sunny side up. How many times do I have to tell you?
Interesting that the man in this dialogue is the one doing the baking.
Yeah, well, that's modern days. I don't know. Men are learning how to cook and, yeah.
House husbands.
House husbands, yeah, more popular these days.
All right, well, since this house husband felt like baking, I think we should look at this and one other phrase in Fluency Builder.
Okay, so great phrase. He said, I felt like baking.
I felt like baking.
I felt like baking. So let's take a look at this. He feels like, or he felt like in the past. What does that mean when you feel like?
You want to do it. You have the desire to do it.
Okay, and then to bake. And now this verb is in the gerund form.
That's right, the ing form.
And that's the rule, right? I feel like playing soccer.
Right. I feel like eating lunch.
I felt like going to the movies. That's the way you would say this. You have the desire, you feel like doing something.
Exactly.
Okay, very good. And now let's take a look at this second phrase. Drives me crazy.
Drives me crazy.
Drives me crazy.
All right, this is a very descriptive phrase, and I think if we listen to some examples, it will help us understand the meaning.
Example 1. This music is driving me crazy. Turn it down.
Example 2.
Don't leave garbage in my car. It drives me crazy.
Example 3.
Your mom is driving me crazy. She keeps calling me.
All right, so if something drives you crazy,
it makes you feel very angry or annoyed.
Irritated.
Or, frustrated.
Okay, but it can also be positive, right? Like, that girl drives me crazy.
As in you really, really, really like her.
Yeah.
I don't know, it sounds a little bit inappropriate to
really?
me. Yeah.
I think it's okay. It drives me crazy. It's like, she's got me thinking and she's got me in the clouds or something like that.
All right, well, maybe there's something about you that I don't need to know. So I'll just let you keep that thought to yourself.
All right, well, I'm just saying we could use it in a positive form as well.
Okay. You're just saying.
I'm just saying. All right, so drives me crazy. Really great phrase, and you can use it in all of these different situations like we heard. So let's listen to our dialogue for the last time, and then we'll come back and talk a little bit more.
Wow, you're up early today. What's for breakfast?
Well, I felt like baking, so I made some muffins.
Smells good. I'll make some coffee. Do you want me to make you some eggs?
Sure. I'll take mine sunny side up.
Ew, I don't know how you can eat your eggs like that. Ever since I was small, I've had eggs and soldiers.
You know, my dad had scrambled eggs every morning for 20 years. It drove my mom crazy.
You know what really drives me crazy? When I ask for soft-boiled eggs and they overcook them so they come out hard-boiled. How can you dip your toast into a hard-boiled egg?
You're so picky sometimes.
Here you go, honey. Fried eggs.
Damn it! I said sunny side up. How many times do I have to tell you?
Well, I think there are some people who really, really love eating eggs for breakfast and some people who just can't stand it.
Yeah, I don't know who though. I mean, who doesn't like eggs in the morning,
I know, I'm a big fan.
right?
Yeah.
Eggs, bacon, toast.
Yes.
Good stuff.
Traditional American type breakfast.
Now, you were telling me that you have some traditions when you eat eggs.
I know. I'm not sure if this is just in my family, but I think actually it might be common with other people as well. When you eat a soft-boiled or hard-boiled egg, you have to, eat all of the egg outside of the shell, and then you have to break the bottom of the shell after you finished,
Why?
so that the fairies who live in your egg cup can come out.
So it's kind of like a superstition.
Yeah, I guess it is.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I don't know. You guys, do you have any egg traditions or any other crazy food stories like that?
Well, for example, I was telling you that when I prepare scrambled eggs, sometimes I like to take some rice, some rice that has already been cooked, put it in the pan, and then take some eggs, 2 eggs, put it on top of the rice, and scramble the rice with the eggs.
Okay, for breakfast?
Yeah, it could be for breakfast.
Really?
Yeah, a little bit, not like a huge plate of rice. Or maybe at night, you don't have anything to eat.
Okay.
Scrambled eggs
Yep.
with rice. It's a poor man's food.
All right. Well, it's also a quick man's food.
Yeah, exactly. So let us know if you guys have any egg preparations or any special egg recipes or traditions that you
Yes.
practice.
Visit our website at englishpod.com where you can leave all of your comments and questions.
Exactly, and as always, we are there to answer them and solve any problems.
Well, we're out of time for today, but until next time, bye.
Hello, English learners. Welcome back to English Pod. My name is Marco.
And I'm Erica.
And today, we're bringing you a lesson that was requested by one of our listeners.
Yes, that's right. We got a request for a dialogue about a receptionist.
So, a receptionist at an office or at a hotel. So, today's dialogue is simple, but we're going to be looking at some really great phrases.
Yeah, phrases that will help you sound really, really professional and really fluent.
So, we are at an office today, and the receptionist is greeting somebody that has an appointment.
All right, let's see what happens.
Good afternoon. May I help you?
Yes, I'm here to see Joanna Stevens. I have an appointment at 4.
Certainly. May I take your name? I'll let her know you've arrived.
Sure, it's Josh O'Neill.
Miss Stevens will be with you momentarily. Can I offer you something to drink?
Yes, coffee would be nice, thank you.
Here you are. Miss Stevens is ready for you now. I'll show you to her office, right this way. Just watch your step here.
Well, that's pretty embarrassing, hey?
That was embarrassing. That's what happens to women when they wear high heels. See?
Actually, that happened to me last weekend.
Really?
I fell down the stairs and my knees are quite blue.
Oh no, see? High heels are dangerous. I don't know why women wear them.
Well, I don't know, but that's not what we're here to discover.
Right. Okay, so let's take a look at some of these great phrases in Fluency Builder.
Fluency Builder.
Well, I really liked how this receptionist used some excellent phrases to sound really professional. And one thing she said was, certainly.
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 So why did she say certainly?
Well, this is a nice way to respond, to make the other person know that you understand what they said.
So Josh O'Neill said, yes, I'm here to see Joanna Stevens. I have an appointment at 4.
Certainly.
So she is saying, I understand what you said.
Yes.
And then she said, may I take your name?
May I take your name?
May I take your name?
So this is a nice way of saying,
what is your name?
yeah.
So now this is really important because if you said, what is your name? Is that correct?
It's correct, but it's not really very,
Exactly. Or I would say polite to a certain extent.
yes.
Okay.
So may I take your name?
May I take your name?
You use this phrase when you are going to write down the person's name.
Right. So if you meet somebody on the street or at a bar, you wouldn't say, may I take your name?
No,
Right.
unless you're going to write it down.
So usually for an office setting where the receptionist has to write down the name.
Yes. All right, one more phrase. Ms. Stevens will be with you momentarily.
Okay. Miss Stevens will be with you momentarily.
Will be with you momentarily.
Okay, so this is really polite.
Yes.
Momentarily, what does that mean?
In a moment.
In a
Soon.
moment. Soon. Again, she could have said, Miss Stevens will come out soon, or Miss Stevens will see you in a minute.
Yes.
But that's, again, it's not really that polite, right?
Yeah, so when you want to be formal, you can say, Ms. Stevens will be with you momentarily.
Okay, that's a really nice phrase.
All right, there's so much in this dialogue, so many great, wonderful, polite phrases. So why don't we listen to it one more time, but this time, slow down.
Good afternoon. May I help you?
Yes, I'm here to see Joanna Stevens. I have an appointment at 4.
Certainly. May I take your name? I'll let her know you've arrived.
Sure. It's Josh O'Neill.
Miss Stevens will be with you momentarily. Can I offer you something to drink?
Yes, coffee would be nice. Thank you.
Here you are. Miss Stevens is ready for you now. I'll show you to her office. Right this way. Just watch your step here.
Okay, so it's pretty clear now, but there are still a couple of phrases that I would like to look at. So why don't we look at the last 2 sentences?
Okay,
Miss Stevens is ready for you now.
Ms. Stevens is ready for you now.
Miss Stevens is ready for you. So when she says ready for you, what does that mean?
Prepared to speak to you.
Okay. So instead of saying Miss Stevens is ready or Miss Stevens can see you now,
Yes.
you use this great little phrase, is ready for you. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then she said, I'll show you to her office.
I'll show you to her office.
I'll show you to her office.
This is a lovely way of saying, I will take you to the office.
I will take you to
Yep.
the office. And she followed it by saying, right this way.
Right this way.
Right this way.
So, again, walk this way.
Walk this way.
Yep.
This way, please.
Yes, right this way. It sounds really, really nice, really polite, really welcoming.
Right. And especially if you use it together, right? I'll show you to her office. Right this way, please.
Yes.
Okay, so it's a really great way of being polite to somebody at an office.
Now, the final useful phrase, watch your step.
Watch your step.
Watch your step.
So, watch your step. You see that everywhere in the signs.
Be careful.
Be careful where you step.
Yes, be careful where you're walking.
Okay. So, obviously, she didn't watch her step and
She fell.
she fell. Okay, so really great phrases. Let's listen to this dialogue one last time.
Good afternoon. May I help you?
Yes, I'm here to see Joanna Stevens. I have an appointment at 4.
Certainly. May I take your name? I'll let her know you've arrived.
Sure, it's Josh O'Neill.
Miss Stevens will be with you momentarily. Can I offer you something to drink?
Yes, coffee would be nice. Thank you.
Here you are. Miss Stevens is ready for you now. I'll show you to her office, right this way. Just watch your step here.
All right, so a really simple dialogue, but with a lot of good phrases in there. And it's also a good review for more advanced students, right?
Yeah, remember, like these phrases can really help you sound more professional, more welcoming, more polite, basically.
Okay, so if you have any questions or doubts, please come to our website, englishpod.com.
And Marco and I are always around to respond to your questions and comments.
Okay, guys, so we'll see you there. And until next time, it's
goodbye.
Bye. Hello, English learners. Welcome back to English Pod. My name is Marco.
And I'm Erica.
And today we are going back in time again. And this time we're going to be in the 1960s.
That's right. We're going to learn some phrases and some slang that were really popular back in 1964.
Exactly. And most of these phrases and words we still use today. So it's very interesting and very good to know.
That's right. I'm looking forward to this trip back in time. So why don't we get started with the dialogue?
Hey man, I really like your pad. Those lava lamps are far out. Thanks for letting me crash here tonight.
It's no problem, brother. I wanted a pad where people could come, listen to music, and just hang loose. You dig what I'm saying?
I dig it, man. We should throw a bash here and make it really happening scene.
Yeah, man, that would be groovy. Hey, I got to split for a while. Are you okay here by yourself?
Don't worry about me, brother. You go take care of your business.
All right, peace out.
All right, so great dialogue, very popular in the 60s, the music, the mood, and the words, right?
That's right.
So why don't we get down to business and look at the vocabulary that we saw in this dialogue in language takeaway.
Language takeaway.
Well, the dialogue opened and we heard this guy say, "Hey man, I really like your pad."
I really like your pad.
Pad.
Okay, so pad, a very informal way of saying
your apartment.
Your apartment, right? And now you can still use it today.
Yeah, that's right. We often hear the expression bachelor pad.
Okay, a bachelor pad.
So that's an apartment where a single man lives.
Okay, so a bachelor pad. Usually it's very nicely decorated and really a nice apartment, right?
Or maybe it has empty pizza boxes all over the floor, Marco.
Also a bachelor pad.
Yeah.
But so that's what pad means, an apartment.
Yep.
They were talking about the apartment and he said the lava lamps are far out.
Far out.
Okay, it's far out.
So that's really cool or amazing.
Right. And now lava lamps, those are those strange cone-looking lamps, right?
Kind of a light with like some liquid moving inside.
Very popular in the 60s.
Yeah, we'll post some pictures of that.
Yeah. And the lamps are far out. So now you can use that with other things, right? Like you are really far out.
Yeah, or this music is really far out.
Okay.
It kind of gives you the feeling like it's sort of spacey.
Spacey.
Yeah.
All right. So the pad is really far out. The lava lamps are great. And he was saying, thanks for letting me crash here tonight.
To crash.
So to crash at someone's place.
Right. So we're not talking about like a car crash here.
No.
But so when you crash somewhere, what do you do?
Well, you are staying there, then you're going to stay there
so you're
as a guest.
Yeah, so like sleep, right?
Uh-huh.
Yep, and for free.
For free, yes. So if, for example, you're going to New York and you're going to visit a friend, you might crash at your friend's house.
That's right. So interesting word, and it is quite commonly used now. So why don't we hear some examples of how we can use it?
Example 1.
Hey man, can I crash at your place tonight?
Example 2.
I lost my keys, so I'm crashing at my girlfriend's house.
Example 3.
No, you've been sleeping on my couch for a month. You're not going to crash here tonight.
All right, perfect. So to crash, right? It's still commonly used today.
Yep.
Now for the fourth word, groovy.
Groovy.
That would be groovy.
So again, this means like great or cool or really nice.
Yeah, I think this is one of the main words of the 1960s. Something was groovy.
Yes, I agree. So it kind of gives you the sense that it's sort of really cool, but in a relaxed way.
Yeah, it's groovy. This music is really groovy.
That's right.
And finally, his friend, he said, hey, I got to split for a while.
To split?
Okay, so if I say I have to split,
you have to leave.
I have to leave.
Yep.
Very colloquial, and it means I have to leave for a little bit.
Yep.
Split for a while.
That's right. You may not have heard this one before, so why don't we hear some examples to help you understand how it's used?
Example 1.
Hurry up! We've got to split before the police get here.
Example 2.
This party is boring. Let's split.
Example 3.
I have to wake up early tomorrow, so we're going to split.
Okay, very good. So split. Now, also, I think you can use it for relationships, right? Me and her split up.
That's right. So you ended your relationship.
Yeah, split. Okay, so we saw 5 really common phrases from the 1960s. Let's listen to the dialogue again a little bit slower, and then we'll come back and look at some phrases from the 60s.
Hey man, I really like your pad. Those lava lamps are far out. Thanks for letting me crash here tonight.
It's no problem, brother. I wanted a pad where people could come, listen to music, and just hang loose. You dig what I'm saying?
I dig it, man. We could throw a bash here and make it a really happening scene.
Yeah, man, that would be groovy. Hey, I gotta split for a while. Are you okay here by yourself?
Don't worry about me, brother. You go take care of your business.
All right. Peace out.
All right, well, I want to get started at looking at these 1960s slang phrases. So let's go now with putting it together.
Putting it together.
All right, I'm putting it together today. Let's start with the first part. He talked about, you dig what I'm saying.
I dig it, man.
You dig what I'm saying?
To dig it.
All right. So we know the verb dig, which means to make a hole, right?
Yeah.
But now he's talking about understand.
Yeah, basically, you dig what I'm saying. Do you understand what I'm saying?
And when he says I dig it, he says I understand.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, there's also another meaning to this, right? Apart from understand.
Yeah, it can also mean I like it.
Okay, so I really dig this type of music.
Or I really dig this restaurant.
Okay, so it's kind of I like it. All right. Now, moving on. He said we could throw a bash here.
All right, throw a bash.
To throw a bash.
So first of all, what is a bash?
A bash is a party.
A really great party.
An amazing party.
Now, I want to look at this verb to throw something. So we know that you throw a ball, right?
Right.
But how can you throw a party?
Well, it's basically saying you organize or you host a party.
Okay, and how can you use this phrase?
Okay, so I can say, last week I threw